Good morning, everyone. Today I'll be presenting on Gottlob Frege's seminal work on sense and reference and its implication to language education as a requirement of the subject Philosophy of Language Education under Dr. Willow F. Pankett of Mountain Province State University School of Advanced Education. Gottlob Frege, a German mathematician and philosopher, is considered the father of analytic philosophy. His essay on sense and reference, originally published in German as Über Sinn und Bedeutung, is a foundational work in the philosophy of language. Today, we'll explore its concepts and their relevance to language education. Frege introduced three concepts that we will focus on today: sense and reference, the context of principle, and the principle of compositionality. Let's examine each of these in turn. Frege introduces two fundamental aspects of meaning: sense or Sinn and reference or Bedeutung. The sense of a term is the way in which it presents its referent, or the manner in which an object is presented to the mind. On the other hand, the reference is the actual object or entity that the term refers to. To clarify, consider the terms the morning star and the evening star. Both refer to the planet Venus, but they do so in different ways, different senses. The reference Venus remains the same, but the sense changes based on the context in which the object is presented. Frege's context principle is another important concept. According to this principle, words only have meaning when they are used within the context of a sentence. This idea underscores the importance of context in determining meaning. For example, take the word bank. On its own, bank could mean a financial institution or the side of a river. However, when you place it in a sentence, such as I deposited money in the bank, the meaning becomes clear as financial institution. In contrast, we sat on the river bank gives a completely different meaning. Frege also introduced the principle of compositionality, which states that the meaning of a sentence is determined by the meanings of its individual parts and the rules used to combine them. For instance, consider the sentence, "The cat sat on the mat." The overall meaning of the sentence is derived from the meanings of the words the cat, sat, on, and the mat, and how they are combined in the sentence structure. This principle is fundamental in understanding how we construct and interpret meaning in language. Moving on, Frege also made two major innovations. First is his rejection of psychologism. Psychologism is the view that the meaning of words is tied to the individual mental images or ideas. Frege argued against this, positing that meaning is objective and not dependent on individual psychological states. For example, different people might have different mental images when they hear the word tree, but the meaning of tree is not tied to these individual images. Instead, it refers to the concept of a tree, which is objective and consistent across different contexts. Another key innovation from Frege was his work in formal logic, particularly his development of predicate logic. This provided a systematic approach to understanding the structure and meaning of logic, which has become a foundation of analytical philosophy. For example, Frege's logical notation allows us to express statements like all humans are mortal and Socrates is a human in a precise and formal way, leading to the logical conclusion Socrates is mortal. This formalization has been crucial for advancing our understanding of language. Frege's theory of sense and reference has several practical applications in language. First is the informative identity statements. Frege uses the example of identity statements, such as the morning star is the evening star, to illustrate the difference between sense and reference. Although both terms refer to the same object Venus, they have different senses, providing different information. This statement is informative because it tells us that two different senses refer to the same object. Frege addresses how language can meaningfully refer to fictional or non-existent entities. He suggests that such terms have sense but lack reference, allowing for meaningful discourse about non-real entities. For example, the name Sherlock Holmes has sense. We understand who Sherlock Holmes is supposed to be, but no reference, as there is no real person named Sherlock Holmes. Frege's theory also explains how indirect speech and thought reports function. In such contexts, the sense of the embedded sentence is what is referred to rather than its usual reference. For example, in the sentence, Alice believes that the morning star is a planet. The phrase, the morning star, refers to its sense in Alice's belief, rather than its reference, Venus. While Frege's work is groundbreaking, it's not without challenges. The problem of non-referring terms and the unity of the sentence remain areas of debate. Frege's approach faces challenges in dealing with terms that have sense but no reference. Critics argue that it is difficult to understand how such terms can be meaningful if they do not refer to anything real. For example, the term unicorn has sense. We understand what unicorn is supposed to be, but no reference, as there are no real unicorns. Frege's theory also faces the challenges of explaining how individual words combine to form meaningful sentences. This remains a complex issue in the philosophy of language, as sentences are not more than just a list of words. They have a unified meaning that is greater than the sum of their parts. For example, the sentence, "The cat sat on the mat," is more than just a list of words. It has a unified meaning that is more than the sum of its parts. Nonetheless, despite these challenges, Frege's work has significant implication for language education, particularly in how we understand and teach meaning. Frege's context principle highlights the importance of teaching language in context. Words and phrases should be taught within sentences and larger discourse to ensure that learners grasp their full meaning. For example, teaching the word bank within sentences like "I deposited money in the bank" and "we had picnic on the river bank" helps students understand the different meanings based on context. Understanding the principle of compositionality can help educators teach students how to construct and deconstruct sentences, enhancing their comprehension and production of complex sentences. For example, breaking down the sentence, "The cat sat on a mat," into its components and showing how each part contributes to the overall meaning. Frege's rejection of psychologism underscores the importance of teaching the objective meanings of words and phrases, rather than relying solely on individual interpretations or mental images. For instance, teaching the word tree with a definition and examples rather than relying on students' mental images. Frege's approach to fictional and non-existent entities can help educators address how to talk about and understand terms that do not refer to real-world objects, which is particularly relevant in literature and creative writing. For example, discussing characters like Sherlock Holmes or unicorns and explaining that these terms have sense but no real-world reference. Frege's insights into indirect speech and thought reports can aid in teaching how to report speech and thoughts accurately, which is crucial for advanced language learners in academic writing. For example, explaining that in the sentence, Alice believes that the morning star is a planet, the phrase morning star refers to its sense in Alice's belief. In conclusion, Frege's work on sense and reference provides a fundamental framework for understanding meaning in language. His concepts of sense, reference, context, and compositionality have significant implication for how we approach language education. By incorporating these insights into our teaching methodologies, we can enhance our students' understanding of language and improve their linguistic competence, while his work's challenges open up exciting avenues for future research, including studies on cognitive processing of sense and reference, cross-linguistic comparisons, and the impact of context-based teaching on language acquisition. Thank you very much.